starting the day off by, well, found my bus. Need to do some checks on it, get some extra ticket roll. Now look at this gap here. It's tight. So in the morning, we have to do just various checks on the bus, which I'm not going to go into today because it's not the purpose of this video and it'll take too long of the video up. But once these checks are done, I can then get the bus on the road and start driving. I leave here in 10 minutes and I've got to go to Wythenshawe interchange to do the 101 service. Now we're ready to take this bad boy on the road. Let's rock and roll. I love these new cameras. Obviously they're better than the mirrors and clearer than the actual windscreen, looking out the windscreen. First job is to get to Wythenshawe interchange. Then we'll pick up the 101 into Piccadilly. Right, just coming into Wythenshawe interchange. I'm not due out yet, so I'm going to park up for a minute, find my gloves because it's absolutely freezing, my hands are cold, and then I'll pull up onto the stand and see who's there, see if we can start loading people up. Put the bus numbers up, get round onto the stand. I'm annoyed with myself this morning. I should have got up early and got on my run. I've been getting up early every morning to go on my run, but because I finish at 1:30 today, I've given myself a little bit of a breather because I know I've got basically about an hour to get it done before I've got to pick the kids up from school, so I can get it done. But usually I like to start my day doing that task, but it'd be nice to run in the daylight for once anyway. So we pull up to stand E and then load up and then start the service. So we're joining this route now just as we're going to jump onto Princess Parkway and continue where we meet the 103. So far I left that timing point 4 minutes late. When you do the 101 you have 5 timing points to hit. So in between Wythenshawe and Piccadilly there's 5 timing points, and the first 2 I hit okay. The third one I was 4 minutes late to, and that's simply just down to not traffic, just picking up people really. And this timing point I should bring the service back on time. When you're doing this trip you get a specific amount of time to complete the whole trip. The journey is driven by how long it takes you to get from timing point to timing point. If I got to the next timing point 2 minutes early, I don't bank that 2 minutes and save it. I have to wait before I set off again. Some timing points you struggle to make and others you make okay. Coming into Piccadilly now. I should be in Piccadilly now, but I'm about 5 minutes late on this first trip. Probably to be expected. In the morning you have more people than traffic, so there's a lot of pulling in and pulling out. Should be in Piccadilly at 6 minutes past 7. It's now 7 minutes past 7, but I'll leave Piccadilly as the 101 at 20 minutes past 7, so I'll still make the next service and put the next service back on time. Sometimes you can be so late doing this that you can have like 10 minutes layover time, which is the point of arriving in Piccadilly, passengers getting off and you having to load up and leave. You can have a 10 minute gap and you can be 15-20 minutes late, so you can still leave late on the next service, so the next service can be affected by this service that you're running anyway. Right, just coming into town now. Take my numbers off. You've got to take your numbers off, otherwise you might as well have a big flagpole on you that says come over to me. And I'm not ready to leave yet. That's everyone off the bus. And I've got 8 minutes before I need to set back off on the next service. So I arrived in Piccadilly then 6 minutes late, which just is what it is. As a matter of fact, I need to have a walk round and just stretch my legs off. You can be sat in the same spot for so long doing this job that you need to just, if you've got time, or even if you've not got time, you've got to just stretch your legs off between each trip. Especially if you do a lot of training like me, because your body can just stiffen up in that position. Believe it or not, it's more beneficial for you to be active than it is to be sat still. Anyway, I'm going to leave this here and pick up when I'm probably nearing the end of the next trip and see how that one's gone. I'm going to start loading this bus up now, ready for the next trip. Give myself some time to get everyone loaded on. So picking up this trip at the end of it, I'm just going through New Hall Green, and I have been late on every single timing point on the way back. Not by much, I think I'm about 3 or 4 minutes late, and I've had to restart the bus about 5 times because there's a sensor that's playing up, and every time you close the door it thinks the door's still open, and the only way to trip it and reset it is to shut down the bus and restart it again. All in all, that's not been too bad really. Katie! It's nice to see my Katie then. Honestly, you've got to have eyes in the back of your head at this time of the day when you're driving a bus. When you're driving anyway, but especially when you're driving a bus, because the amount of times you have to pull in and then you go to pull out and the people just won't let you out, or you go to pull out and you're okay to pull out and nothing's coming, all of a sudden someone will just overtake you. At this time of the morning, what time are we on? 22 minutes past 8. Everyone can be very impatient, say, because they're either late for work or they're rushing to get to work for some other reason, or drop the kids off at school and then go to work. It's mad. So everyone is in a rush at this time. That's why they call it rush hour. But what can I do? Nothing. Just stay calm, be patient, and if I'm late, I'm late. I should have been in Wivenshaw interchange 1 minute ago, and I'm about 2 minutes away from it. So all in all, that hasn't been that bad, that trip. This guy in front here, he cut me up, come right round me when I was already driving, and I had to slow down to let him past. And it's not done him any favours because he's just ahead of me on the lights, that's all. Numbers off. Park up for a second and have a walk round, and then get on the stand ready for the next trip. So on the next trip out, I'm a 101, and then when I get to Piccadilly, I go out of Piccadilly as a 103, and I hand it to the next duty at Sharsden Green. You have to really look at them, because sometimes you can go into autopilot and you can be the 101 all morning, and then on the last bit you'll change to a 103, but you'll just think you're still a 101 and you'll go out and you'll do the route as a 101. It usually happens where there's a sudden change in the route. Say if you're doing a 43 from Manchester Airport, and then you've gone in as a 43 and then you come out as a 103, and there's a turning just after the airport where you have to go down Cornish way as the 103 and the 43 carries on, and it's very easy to just carry on sometimes and think you're still the 43. I mean, human beings, human error, make mistakes, but you know, luckily none for me so far. Right, now it's time to go and get on the stand and load up. Hopefully this bus sorts itself out. I've just shut it down for a minute or two, which should hopefully iron out any kinks. If it doesn't, looks like there'll be a couple of stop starts in the next trip as well. So we pull up to stand E, which is the 101 stand. It's always the 101 stand because this bus only goes from this stand to Piccadilly. Right, I've managed to set off on time. We start the journey as the 101 again. I'll pick this back up near the end of the route because there's going to be nothing much to cover until I actually get to the end of the route and see what this route has had in store for me, because every trip is different. Just coming past this Heineken brewery for the second time today. I am late by about 11 minutes on this trip. I've had to restart the bus about 15 times, well, about 10 times on the way down here on this one. I've messaged the depot about it, but I've got 18 minutes layover in town. So I should be in town in 3 minutes. I ain't gonna get in town in 3 minutes, more like 13 minutes. So I'm gonna get in town 10 minutes late, and then I'll still have, theoretically, if I don't lose any more time, 8 minutes to get the passengers off, load new ones on, and then set off as the 103. This has just been a story of being late all morning. You know what I love in Piccadilly? I love like the old buildings when you're driving past the old churches. Like this building here, it's got a Tesco Express below it, but look at the architecture and everything that went into making that building. The balcony, the stones, the pillars, the windows. Obviously it was built a long time ago, like a lot of the buildings around Manchester, and then all the new ones that have just been slung up, they look like something out of Minecraft. The middle of Manchester Piccadilly now. The hustle and bustle of the streets is quieting down though. I'm just pulling into the bus stand, which for me is kind of a result because I'm very late, 13 minutes late, but I don't leave for another 6 minutes, so oh bloody hell, that was... As long as this bus stays going, I'm fine, but when the bus starts playing up like that and it won't let me leave, it's like there's a sensor broke or something, and when the door closes it's telling me it's still open. Anyway, let's have a walk around for a minute before we set back off. So by some wave of a magic wand, I don't know how, I've managed to leave the Piccadilly stand on time, the 103. Sometimes it can be a struggle to get away from a really busy place, because with the new ticket machine we've got, it slows things down a touch as compared to the old system. A place like Piccadilly, you can just get a barrage of people. Even if you open your door 5 minutes before you set off, you can sometimes leave 3-4 minutes late. And when you close your door, I've been there where everyone wants to get on the bus and they really can't reopen the doors, because if they reopen the doors once they're closed to go, one person can turn into 21 people, and then before you know it, you're so far behind the trip before you've even set off. It's unreal. But anyway, I've managed to leave there on time. You almost have to become an expert at analysing body language when people approaching bus stops and people stood at bus stops and whatnot. Because the amount of times I've pulled up to a bus stop where multiple services stop, nobody's called for the bus, and about 5-10 people have walked on, I thought, bloody hell. Sometimes, which is always the best, when people actually call for the bus.
So high I'm hypnotized. What's up is down, what's left is right. Chasing stars and holding you.
Right, I am now absolutely on time, if not maybe a minute or so early. I don't know how I've managed that, but the universe has just allowed it. So that's good. Which means I'll be on time for my meal break, and you know, all's good in the world. I've only got, this has been my biggest half of my shift. It's like 4 hours and 40 minutes driving or something like that on the first bit. I think my second half of my shift after my break is only a couple of hours, something like that.
Man,
I think
like
it's an 85-8 in and an 86 out, that's it. I'm going to hand this to the next driver now, and then that'll be me done. So even though I made it to the end destination on time, I did a lot of late running in that, and it was just outside of my control. Certain days I can do that duty and I can keep the bus on time, and other days it's just unpredictable. The roads might be busier. There's loads of factors that can come into late running. So the service in front of you, the bus in front, the 101 in front, the 43 in front, it might fail through reasons like driver sickness. It might break down, and then when you get to the bus stop, you think, bloody hell, this is busy, and you're picking people up, more and more people, and there's more and more people at every bus stop. It's because you're picking up that driver's passengers plus the passengers that was intended for your service, because it's failed, the service has failed, or you know, in really unlucky circumstances, 2 services might fail in front of you, and you never know. It's always a little bit hit and miss. You know, sometimes you might think the times need readjusting, this is impossible to make, but then like I said, other times you can make it, and you can be late that time because of situations that are just outside of your control. So right now I'm going to do the second part of my duty, and I'll leave that here. That's a bit of a video, that. So have a good day, people.